Restrict Act, aka TikTok ban, is upon us. It doesn't mention TikTok once, but it does allow unelected officials in the Biden administration to throw you in prison for just about anything that you're already doing. A bill written with ill-defined broad strokes helps the totalitarianism settle in nicely while you think it's working in your best interest. Good evening, and welcome to the first day of the rest of your totalitarian-controlled, freedomless, godless lives. I'm JP Sears, and these are lies you can trust. For a while, we've been desperate to take your freedom from you for your own good. COVID got the ball rolling. Our climate crisis theater has been a valiant effort, but unfortunately not enough people are falling for it. But good news, we think we got you this time with the Restrict Bill, introduced by Senators John Thune and Mark Warner. Great comrades they are. What does this bill that everyone's talking about mean for you, your freedom of speech, and your ability to stay out of prison with a regime that's so power hungry that it seems eager to remove all dissenters? And what are the finer details that the Restrict Act actually says that definitely shouldn't alarm you? We'll answer all those questions and more for you tonight so you can feel the appropriate amount of terrified. Starting with, what is it? The Restrict Act is a very beneficial bill designed to protect national security. So much so that it makes the Patriot Act look like child's play. Now, at its core, national security is about protecting the freedoms of U.S. citizens. And luckily, this eerily vaguely written bill has identified Americans' freedom, specifically freedom of speech, to be the biggest existential threat to national security. So when you do the math, that means that taking away Americans' freedom is a necessary measure to protect the freedoms that Americans love and cherish. It's brilliant. Now we'll get into some of the finer details of the bill in a moment, but first, let's address the TikTok issue that will help rally your support for something that works against you in a very favorable way. As we're now willing to admit, TikTok is an app-based software that allows the Chinese Communist Party to spy on Americans while they look like morons and lower their IQs. And the Restrict Act, also called the TikTok Ban Bill, even though it doesn't mention TikTok anywhere in it, would ban TikTok in the US, thus protecting citizens from a Communist Party spying on them by having another Communist Party spying on them instead and then throwing them in prison. And that sounds like an improvement to me. Now, for those of you who don't have your eyes glazed over and aren't saying, "That sounds good, please protect me," and are accidentally thinking instead, let's address your concerns. You might be wondering, if a bill was truly just about banning TikTok, what would that bill look like? Well, for starters, it might specifically mention TikTok, the Restrict Act doesn't, and the entire bill might look something like this. Using TikTok is prohibited. And if that's what you think, pardon the thought policing, but you're wrong. Because the Restrict Act is countless pages written in broad strokes that hands power over you to the government. For example, based on what the bill says, the Biden administration would regulate certain transactions between persons in the US and foreign adversaries. Brilliant legal language written so vaguely that you might be asking, what exactly does that mean? Well, the point is that it's written so vaguely that they get to decide it means whatever they want it to mean. Let's specifically consider that it regulates certain transactions between persons in the US and foreign adversaries.
Well, what transactions?
Answer: any communication on the internet.
Well, who gets to decide who's a foreign adversary?
Answer: Biden's Secretary of Commerce and the Director of National Intelligence both are unelected bureaucrats, so luckily you have no control in the matter, and they have no accountability. Yes, it's true that the bill gives unrestricted power to these unelected bureaucrats who can throw you in prison for 20 years, but I think we've learned through Fauci and the CDC that giving unelected bureaucrats power over you works out swimmingly. And what else does the bill say? Well, it regulates any acquisition, importation, transfer, installation, dealing in, or use of any information and communications technology, product, or service, including ongoing activities such as managed services, data transmission, software updates, repairs, or the provision of data hosting services. That's pretty good. A particularly powerful part is the data transmission term, as that literally means anything you send through the internet or post on the internet. For national security, it's important to give the Biden regime complete power to spy on what apps you're using, all your data, and your browser history. Browser history. Can you ask Hunter to take this to a laptop repair shop? I need my hard drive and entire history permanently deleted. I think he knows a good one. The bill also criminalizes the use of VPNs, as those make it possible for you to be sovereign while making it difficult for the government to monitor you. Moving along. What are the consequences? Now, if you violate any of these scenarios we've covered, they can enforce any mitigation measure to address any risk arising from any covered transaction by any person or with respect to any property subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. Any mitigation measure means they can protect your freedoms by punishing you with a civil fine of $250,000, a criminal fine of $1 million, and a 20-year prison sentence. But because the bill also says restrictions include current, past, or future transactions, it means they've already got you. You lose the game before it even started.
You lose!
Now go to prison. This just in! Remember, this is all in the name of protecting national security. Now, to be clear, the Restrict Act would give the Biden administration the power to regulate all speech on the internet for Americans. Seems pretty constitutional. And you would only go to prison if you're determined by the incredibly non-biased, nonpartisan Biden administration Secretary of Commerce and Director of National Intelligence to be acting in the interest of a foreign adversary. Would you be considered to be acting in the interest of a foreign adversary for being opposed to funding Ukraine, not wanting to step into World War III with Russia? Would you be acting in the interest of a foreign adversary if you support Trump?
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans represent an extremism that threatens the very foundations of our republic.
Okay, so I guess the answer is yes. Yes, you are a threat, because he's already said you are. What if you're deemed a national security risk because you're speaking online about how you're not going to stop driving your car and using your gas stove to feed your family because you're not complying with the forthcoming climate lockdown measures you don't believe in? Or would the administration, who tried like hell to mandate that everyone comply with the pharmaceutical business model, possibly deem you to be putting everyone's health at risk, therefore are a national security threat, for not being willing to be a sacrificial lamb to the same pharma business model that they themselves aggressively pushed? Any possibility of that? Who knows? But it's probably a yes. And if so, off to prison for you while your family is left in financial ruin. The Restrict Act. We've got to get this thing passed because this is America and it's due for a good dose of totalitarianism. That's it for tonight's news. You're welcome to have dissenting views from the current administration, but with the Restrict Act, if you do, you legally have to shut the up about them. Good night. I'm just gonna take a break from my red light therapy to do some more red light therapy. Now, I don't know about you, but I firmly believe health equals freedom. So I take my health very seriously because I take my freedom very seriously. And because I like to live hard and play hard, I've always got some kind of sore muscles going on or some kind of injury, not to mention wanting to boost my vitality, make my skin look young, increase my energy at the cellular level. So I'm always looking for ways to improve those factors. So for the past couple of years, I've been thrilled to be using Bond Charge's red light therapy devices. Bond Charge is a company dedicated to making amazing lines of health boosting products, and their red light therapy devices certainly fall into that category. I find using red light therapy for as little as 10 minutes a day helps my muscles recover faster from soreness, my injuries recover faster, I have more energy, and I definitely sleep better. And Bond Charge is a company that makes it easy to bring red light therapy into your life with a wide range of cost-effective, different sizes of red light therapy devices. like the Hive, the Mini, and the Bullet. So if you also believe that health equals freedom and you want to boost your health to new levels, then just go to bondcharge.com/JP and get your hands on some red light therapy today. And while you're there, be sure to use the discount code JP, which is named after me, for 15% off your Bond Charge order. Once again, that's bondcharge.com/JP. Enjoy.